What's going on, South by East fans? Welcome back to the intersection of South by East, where we talk about the culture, the scriptures, and everything in between. And this week, we have a really important topic, especially being here in an election season. We're going to be talking about ranked choice voting and some other things in that area. And so, love for you guys to welcome our guest, Donnavan Dillon. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Donnavan, are you a Topeka native?
I am not. I'm actually from Lawrence, so just down the road.
Okay.
But being in politics and having been in politics since around 13, I do spend a good amount of time in Topeka. But yeah, I was born and raised in Lawrence. I'm currently an incoming senior at KU. So yeah, but a Kansas native.
Yeah. All right, that's great. We have one question that we always like to ask. We ask it in different ways, but since you're in our neck of the woods, this podcast is for those who are a part of Southeast Topeka and wanting them to see how things connect to them at an eye level. So we always ask this question: what's your favorite place to eat in Topeka?
Oh, this is a good one.
Ooh.
I actually am always open to exploring more places.
Okay.
But whenever I'm at the Capitol, I usually go to the Celtic Fox, or I believe it's called Julie's.
Julie's.
Easy to grab like a meal after or like a coffee during the day.
Yep.
The little cafe in the Capitol is also really nice. But outside of that, there's this like grilled cheese kind of place. It's called Wheelbarrow. And I like really like it.
Top 5.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Outside of that, I haven't been to too many places, but I do organizing work in Lawrence and Topeka, so always open to trying new places.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, man, going on the same tangent of just learning more about you and what you do, you've got a button on your shirt for loudlight.com, and I've just recently been introduced to Loudlight. Could you tell us a little bit about what Loudlight is and what you guys do?
Yeah, so I'll give you the spiel on what we do and then a little bit of like history. So Loudlight is a Kansas-based nonprofit that does work across the state, and we were originally founded in 2018 by our president, Davis Hammett, in order to increase youth voter turnout in the state. Davis is originally from Florida, and in Florida there's a lot of civic infrastructure on getting young people out to the polls, young people civically engaged, and young people's voice being heard through our electoral system. He came here originally to found the Equality House across from the Westboro Baptist Church, and doing that work and other organizing across in the state and the Capitol, he realized that there was a huge disconnect from the politicians versus the people, and across the board, Kansas was really failing to get young people civically engaged and register to vote. So since 2018, that was just little Davis all by himself.
Wow.
Our staff has greatly expanded, and because of a lawsuit in 2021, we had to halt our voter registration efforts, which was kind of our bread and butter.
Wow.
We had registered tens of thousands of young people in the state of Kansas. I don't know if you've heard of ksvotes.org,
I have.
But we were responsible for getting that up and going, which is one of the quickest and most efficient and low barrier ways to get registered to vote. But since that lawsuit, that was when I got hired on, we kind of had to move into different ways to get people civically engaged, and paying attention to the electoral system, to elections, things like that. So I like to break our org into 3 different pieces. So we have advocacy, so that is like the work that we do in the State House. We run a very robust advocacy program through our advocacy director, Melissa Styler, who lives in the Potwood neighborhood, I believe. And we do a lot of great work. So I specifically focus on issues in the Black community and LGBTQ plus community, but across our organizers, we really focus on bringing people to the table and bringing people with us. So what that looks like for me as an organizer is every week we have a group of people outside of just our staff that come from different places in Kansas, talking to their legislatures and really seeing at face value what that process looks like, and also making it a little less scary with the undertones of like your elected officials and representatives knowing who you are, knowing your stories, and hopefully taking that with them and being held accountable in that way. Because outside of this little corner of the state, a lot of people don't travel to the Capitol all that often just because of whatever barriers, geographic, financial, time, any of that. So that's our advocacy program. We also have our organizing program, and I am one of our organizers. I organize for Topeka and Lawrence. We are currently hiring for the KC Metro. We have an organizer in Wichita, and then we have 2 organizers out in Southwest Kansas.
Kansas City fans?
Yeah.
There's all the Kansas City folks, all Kansas City followers?
Yeah, so what our work revolves around is really that people work. So I host a lot of community events, I host trainings, and it's really meeting people where they're at. I always like to say I love my job because everybody cares about something, and all of those somethings are connected to our political world, whether that's federal government, state government, your neighborhood. I was in high school, I was like really involved, like student council, like all of these things are being civically engaged. So I love my work. I get to meet with awesome people like you and do really cool things like this. And we also have community action teams, which as a nonprofit, we have access to resources, other nonprofits, coalitions, and so many resources and trainings and information. And through our community action teams, that's how we reinvest it back into the people who want to do the work and kind of serve as a political home for people who are interested in the work but don't necessarily know how to get involved. Our key demographic is 18 to 35 because if you haven't voted by 35, you are likely to never vote in your entire life.
You're probably never getting in there.
Yeah, and learning is voting is a learned behavior. So the earlier you do it, the quicker you learn the system, the more likely you are to do it, which is super awesome for democracy. And then lastly, we have our fellowship program, which is where I started. I started off in our fall fellowship program, which centers around campus organizing and getting people on college campuses engaged and educated, and just answering the many questions a lot of college students have about like, one, being in a new place. A lot of kids are out of state, or even just not in their community they grew up in if they're from Kansas. So we've done like voter registration, we've done pledge to votes, we do talks to classrooms, and that's really cool just because we get so many different kids from campuses across the state, community colleges, some of the bigger universities, civically engaged and involved. So that's our fall program. We have a spring program which focuses on following the legislative session, tracking bills, watching the committee, and really just kind of staying in tune as to what is happening at the state level with policy.
That's so important.
Yeah, and it's really a shocker to a lot of the people who do it, but it's a really great program, and I think teaches a lot of like transferable skills, whether that's, you know, tracking what's going on, just paying attention in what ways you can. And then we are currently in our summer fellowship where our fellows get to basically learn about organizing, what it is, and organizing campaigns, and then they get to craft and implement one themselves. So we've got the sickest group of kids from across the state, college-age kids. Really just like doing the work on like the coolest things that they care about. Because like I said earlier, there's something everybody cares about, and there's a way that you can take that care and passion you have for something and turn it into action. And with that action is where we see change start happening.
Man, Donnavan, that is so fire. And I love having you on here. So I think my 21st birthday, and I'm talking stories, so just warning. But every one of my points is a story. But my 21st birthday, I think it was my 21st, like I spent that day, it ended up being June 11th, 2020, or 2011, how old am I? 2011, right? And I went to the Topeka conversation on poverty. And it was there that I really learned more about poverty in my community and how I could actually engage with it. Because growing up, I was always really active. I'm a recording artist, and so spent a lot of time working on music, and I had done like anti-violence rallies and concerts and things of that nature, but I didn't really know how to fully get civically engaged. I always felt like I was missing the mark. Like there was things that I cared about, and I didn't know how to actually affect change. I was like, well, I guess I'm throwing another concert, but how am I really moving? You know, how am I going to move the needle? How can I connect people to resources? How do I even follow politics? These are hard to keep up with, you know. And so I love like hearing about that fellowship program and all of the work that you guys do at Loud Light. How would someone get involved? Let's say someone's watching and they're like, I'm a college student. I want to be a part of that. I want to learn how to get more civically engaged. How do they do that?
Yeah, so part of being an org that focuses on a younger demographic compared to like a lot of different nonprofits across the country and the state. Something that I love is our social media presence. I think in this day and age, being online is a part of being accessible. And also just like sharing information in a way that anyone who's searching for it can find it.
Right.
Our handle on all social media platforms is loud_light. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, a pretty awesome TikTok. Shout out to our comms person, Paris.
Okay.
So yeah, we share a lot of information out on those platforms. Loudlight.org is our website. We have loudlight.org/events is where you can see all of our events across the state and see what's happening around you.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I also do so much work in the community. I try to be at all the events I can make. And I'm always open to meeting with people, hearing their stories, hearing what they care about, and seeing in what ways, whether it's through Loud Light or not, we can get some good trouble happening and some change happening.
That's awesome. So yeah, if you're interested, definitely check out loudlight.com or loudlight.com/events. We'll make sure that we put that in the show notes. And so a topic that I really want to make sure that we get to, and we're going to do a two-part or a two-parter of this, and the second one will probably be a little longer. And so when we come back next week, I want to make sure that we get to ranked choice voting, because that's something I've been hearing a lot about, and so I've read up on it a little bit, but I'd like to know more about it and how we can use it to engage. But for this week, I really want you guys to check out Loud Light. Do your research. If you guys have more questions for us, send them in to us. Let us know. And thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation next week. And continue to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think about this org. And then next week, we're going to finish up this conversation right here in the intersection.